spoilers, everybody. I used to be a filmmaker, and I hung out with some filmmakers from time to time. When filmmakers get together, they all talk of one other filmmaker, the one who is the filmmaker amongst filmmakers, the one that makes us all feel lazy. I write and edit and direct. He does those things. Then he also shoots the film. He also composes the score. I'm pretty sure he does craft service. And I heard once he was a fluffer as well. This man is a legend, and without whom I probably wouldn't even thought about filmmaking myself. He made it all seem possible with his very first film, El Mariachi. He continues to this day. He's working on Machete 2 and Sin City 2. Give it up for the legend, Robert Rodriguez! Have a seat in the throne, man.
Well,
this is an impressive chair, isn't it?
Why aren't you sitting here?
Because it's not big enough for me. I need two. This is what I was thinking when I was coming up here today. I said a long time ago, I was listening to an interview you did on the Howard Stern show. And you were talking about how in order to kind of start writing a script, you didn't want to shoot pie in the sky. You were like, I want to write basically around what I have. And you were like, I knew how to bus. I knew I can get a guitar case with some guns. I had a turtle. And you were like, and I was off and running. And I heard that, and I was literally sitting in a convenience store, and I looked around, and I was like, I have a store? And that was the birth of Clerks. Up until that point, like, I was writing Dogma. It was very ambitious. And I listened to that interview, and I was like, no, shoot here. This is what this is my turtle. And that was you going out there talking about El Mariachi. You going out there telling people how it was done. Kind of like enlightened me and made me kind of jump into it as well. You have the chance to do it here again. So let's go back to El Mariachi.
Sure. You know what? It's good, perfect timing. This is the 20th anniversary.
This year? Holy crap. So 20 years ago, I was sitting there listening to that interview.
Yeah, and I still tell people that. I say, when you want to do anything, you got to reduce your I need list to very little. Because if you start going, well, I want to do this, but I need first a crew, I need a budget, I need set. I mean, the longer that list gets, the further away you're going to accomplish that.
Right.
So you got to shrink that down to I need nothing. I've got everything here. If you can do that, then you're off and running.
When you were doing it, there were urban legends left and right, one of which was he sold his body for medical experiments.
Yeah, it was one of those weird stories where the stories got bigger and bigger, and they were all true.
Was it really?
The more I heard about it, no, I did. And there's a legend that you don't know. That I'll leave that in there. That I kept
you sold your mouth or something?
Sold my mouth to science. No, I did medical studies because at UT in Austin, it's the biggest university in the country.
Okay.
They have a medical research place. So it's called Pharmaco, and you go to Camp Pharmaco and you make $500 for a weekend. Or if you stay there longer, for your time, they pay you more. So I was there a month, and I made $3,000 selling my body to science. It's for actually the drug that lowers your cholesterol. It's out on the market now. I was testing that back then.
You were did they give you the drug or the placebo?
I can't tell. They don't let you talk to each other. If you have a headache, you can't tell the other person because then they have a headache, and that throws off their results.
Get out of here. So you're not allowed to talk to these people? You're all taking drugs together and you can't have a good time? Okay, so you make this little film with some money that you got from selling your ass in the medical community. At what point does you put together a VHS cut, if I remember correctly?
Yeah,
right?
I cut it at the public access station on 3/4 inch, and then I made VHSs.
And your idea was like, I'm going to sell this in the.
I was going straight to Spanish video market. That's the main thing I tell people. My goal was to just go double my money. I didn't know it was going to overperform.
And these cats were like, we can turn this into a real feature.
Well, what they wanted to do was we're going to remake it as Desperado. And they said, well, before we remake it, let's test the movie that you made already on 7,000. Let's test it to an audience and see, because it might be a downer ending. They tested it, and it tested great as it was. And they said, let's take this to festivals. And I was like, no, I made it for I didn't mean for anybody to watch this. Give me $2,000, I'll reshoot half of it. I didn't want him to show that one, because that was just one I was just trying to get it out. And I learned a big lesson from that, because I was only making it as a throwaway film. It came out better than the films I did on purpose.
No.
So if you throw things away like that and don't make it precious, you'll come up with stuff that you probably wouldn't have thought of if you were on, you're on. It's probably the only movie I ever made that I intended no one to see. I mean, it was called El Mariachi, which translates basically as the guitar player. It was for the video market, action video market. Who's going to rent a movie called The Guitar Player? Looking for action. I thought it would be a funny joke that I sell it to the Spanish video market. I know my friends like foreign films. They'll say, I made a foreign film. It's over there in the Spanish section. And then, but then it went to Columbia, and Columbia Pictures released it. And they put their logo in front, which probably cost more than the whole movie.
And you're like the original Cinderella story. Like, there are some of us who came up in the 90s independent movement where it's like, they were plucked from obscurity and put into suddenly they're making movies. you were the first one. Like, when I first heard about the $7,000 movie, I was like, well, no one's going to care about the $27,000 movie or anything like that, because not only did you make a $7,000 movie, it was an action movie. It kind of kicked ass. Like, I was sitting there going, sweating over, do we move the camera down the candy aisle? You know, and you were just like, shoot that turtle. Like, it was on fire. What was that moment like? Your life changed then, or did it take a few years to change?
No,
did you adapt
right
quickly?
away.
I found I adapted so quickly.
It was very surreal. I mean, and Quentin was going through the similar thing. As we were at the festivals together. That's where I first met him. He had Reservoir Dogs. I had Mariachi. We're both guys in black, violent movies. In fact, we were on panels together because there were these panels of violence in movies in the 90s, and it was only 92. And we were talking about defending our movies. And we couldn't believe that. When he made Pulp Fiction, the studio came to me and they said, we don't know what people want to watch. Now, they like Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction made $100 million. We don't have any movies like that except Desperado. And I said, yeah, we know what we're doing. Just give us more chances. And we went and we said, let's go make these movies. This dream's going to disappear any moment now. Let's go make all the weird we want to make. 4 Rooms, Dusk Till Dawn, black and white movie like Sin City, or a kids movie like Spy Kids for Dimension.
Yes.
You know, Quentin was doing his weird stuff and still is. I mean, he did Inglourious Bastards, his best one's coming up, Django.
You're the patron saint, dude, a guardian angel of indie film and whatnot. I remember right before Dogma, 1 week before I was to go out to shoot Dogma, this is back in 1998.
Right.
I had met Robert very briefly by way of Superman. There was a moment in time where
We
Robert
almost made Superman together.
Yeah,
You'd
yeah.
written a great script.
Oh, you're sweet.
And I
It
met
wasn't,
with Nicolas Cage. It was great.
It was Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage was going to be Superman. I met him on the Face Off. Anyway,
Did you really? You met him on Face Off and whatnot? And he was just like, I really like Superman.
I always wanted to be Superman.
He was there. He was in it, right? He was in it. So I remember at that point, it fell apart. You went to the faculty, and they went off, did something else. But right before I went to shoot Dogma, since we had met then, I called you up out of the blue one night in a panic, man, cold sweat, and I was still living in Red Bank in New Jersey. And I was just like, hey, Robert, it's Kevin Smith. You're like, hey, man, how are you? I said, I'm supposed to make this movie Dogma. It's got angels, about the end of the world. I don't think I could do it. Would you direct it next week? Like, I tried that move, man, and he was like, no.
You gotta do it.
He was sweet, though. He was like, you could do this, man. He's going, here's my only tip for you. Just pull the camera away from the wall. You're always shooting against the wall. Turn it toward a window. I said, thanks.
Little window light coming in.
It made
all
the
the
difference.
when you're, that's what they tell people, when you've got that moment of pure fear, that's when you know you're going in the right direction. Because if you stop and you go, I know what I'm doing, you're gonna up.
So when you get scared,
You know
keep
you're
going.
doing the right thing.
Well, what if you get scared because somebody's got a gun to your head? You don't keep going then.
You keep going.
Really?
You'd rather be dead than do it my way. Shoot
Oh my
me.
God, listen to you. Oh, that's, you did my breath away, man. But in your world, it's just like if somebody has a gun, then a gun pops up from the floor, and they're like, bang, 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 bang. Or
crotch
from the
gun,
belt as
from the
well.
crotch gun.
You're working on right now Machete 2, you're casting.
Machete 2, yeah.
And back to back, you're going to do Sin City
Right into
2?
Sin City too.
How amazing,
Yeah,
man.
that
I
should be
can't
fun.
wait. And
Yeah.
everybody's coming back.
Everybody come back.
Give it up, man, for an absolute legend. Without this guy, a lot of us wouldn't be filmmaking at all. This man is a shooter. He breathes and lives film. You cut him, film comes out his pores. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Rodriguez!